The woman came down this street, lost control about the time she hit the curb, then went through the yard. You can kind of see the tire tracks in the yard before slamming into the two vehicles in the driveway.
7 News reporter Garrett Cryer is live tonight. Garrett?
Guys, I'm in one of our news cars because I want to show you exactly how GPS works. Right now we have it set to head down Lee Boulevard. Cameron officials tell me their enrollment is up 13%. This could take several days to melt some of this away, and everything that's not melted away is expected to refreeze overnight. Turner says the baby was beaten so severely that many at the police department weren't sure if it was going to survive the trip to Oklahoma City to get the urgent care that it needed. Several hours ago, kids who played in this park would have gotten lost in all the weeds and the grass. Amy's grandparents say she took this very road to church on Sundays, where the lights have just went up on the tree. I'm going to step out of the shot for just a second so you can see the lights. Guys, the accident happened next to a senior citizen center where senior citizens frequently cross the street in wheelchairs. The bus had just come from a fire safety show the fire department was putting on. The man had just gotten into the street. He hit the crosswalk button and then got into the street, and the bus turning right hit him. Police say the man was dragged under the bus for at least 20 feet. They say the fact that the man didn't have a flag on his wheelchair, plus the fact that the bus's design prevents the driver from seeing what's directly below him, helped contribute to the accident.
Oh, God! Oh, please put me down! Oh, God!
An ex-con carrying meth took Altus police on a car chase last night.
Police got a tip that 31-year-old Tony Acosta was coming to town to sell meth after just getting out of a halfway house. They say Acosta has been in and out of prison on various convictions, including drugs, stolen property, and carrying a gun illegally. This time, he was out for just 9 days before police and the drug task force shut him down.
7 News reporter Garrett Cryer found out how police caught Acosta red-handed. Garrett.
Guys, they did. Police say when they found Acosta, he was headed into Altus with a large amount of meth that he was planning to sell. But police had other plans, as did Acosta, and they didn't include going back to prison. An officer was stationed at this entrance at the Western Oklahoma State College because they knew Acosta would be coming into town from Blair. And when he came into town and passed the college, that's when they tried to pull him over, and he ran.
To me, he was not familiar with the area, with the neighborhood that he was in, and he got dead-end in a cul-de-sac.
And this is where the chase ended, in a cul-de-sac on Pheasant Circle. An officer blocked Acosta in, and he had no place to go but jail. But Acosta wasn't done yet.
The officers pursued him on foot, and during that time, he threw a large bundled object over a fence.
They caught Acosta quickly, and a canine was brought in to find out what Acosta threw, which turned out to be a large quantity of meth packaged to sell.
One package, and inside the package there's multiple smaller packages that would customarily be distributed out to potential customers of the drug dealer.
And it turns out this isn't the first time Assistant Chief Turner has seen Acosta.
We've had dealings with him on and off for my entire career.
As for Acosta getting back into trouble so soon after getting out of prison, Turner says it's odd.
It's not the norm to catch someone immediately out of federal or state custody in a situation like this. It's definitely not the norm.
Acosta is back in jail tonight in the Jackson County Jail. He will now have 4 charges added to his rap sheet. They include possession with intent to distribute, evading a police officer, obstruction of a police officer, and driving with a suspended license. Back to you.
7 News Nightside reporter Garrett Cryer spoke to a man who knew Ferraro and found out how accomplished she really was. Garrett?
Sylvia, the man I spoke to was in San Francisco for the Democratic Convention in 1984 when Geraldine Ferraro was nominated. He was actually a delegate for presidential candidate Gary Hart, but he says he quickly learned to love Ferraro. He says her work before and after the campaign is what made the real difference in allowing women to move forward from that point on. Mark Ashton still has a Ferraro for vice president button he picked up from the Democratic Convention in 1984 when he learned about all she had done.
Geraldine had a long history, both as an educator and as a lawyer, and she had battled for women's rights not only in the courtroom for women who were victims of crime, but she had battled legislatively for women's rights. So naturally, with that type of history, it was just a real exciting thing for women and for men.
Ashton remembers what it was like directly after Ferraro's nomination.
It was more of a personal victory for the women on the floor. And I can remember they had a huge, almost like a Garrison U.S. flag hooked up to a piece of PVC pipe that must have been 30 feet tall. And they had a couple of those on the floor, and these guys were waving the flag, and it was just an exciting time.
Exciting because American politics was changed forever.
As far as being in party politics and the shaping of the party to be accepting of women in the highest of posts, she was instrumental.
In the years to come, women would run for every type of office, including Geraldine.
Geraldine herself ran for the Senate. She'd never made it through the primary process, but she herself ran for the Senate. Multiple women, you know, Barbara Boxer ended up in the Senate. I mean, there's all sorts of examples that you can give.
But as far as we've come, Ashton says we're still not where we need to be, and there's more work to be done.
We thought that was the end of any gender block for anybody to be nominated for vice president or for president of the United States. I still think some of that reluctance to put women on the ticket is still there. It wasn't as much of a breakthrough as we hoped it would be.
One other interesting note, Ashton says while Ferraro was the first woman to be placed on a presidential ticket, she was not the first woman to try. In the 1970s, Shirley Chisholm tried and got about 100 votes on the floor. Back to you.
Reporter Garrett Cryer has tonight's big story. He is live at the home tonight. So Garrett, what else has happened to them and what are they doing about it now?
Well, Dave, first of all, I'm going to step out of the shot and I'm going to show you all the decorations are gone, but in their place they put up a few signs outside. One says stealing is wrong. The family says they got fed up after the same thing happened to them last year when an elephant decoration was stolen. The Bellar family took down their Christmas decorations today because they say they'd like to keep them.
But I am putting it up this year because I'm afraid they're going to come back and take it.
Arlette Bellar says it's something she'd rather not do and tried to put off after someone stole her elephant display last year.
He was really cute. I can't find him. I've looked all over.
So this year they started staking their decorations down, but the thieves still tried to steal Santa. They pulled him off the stake but left him lying on the ground thanks to some extra weight the family had added.
And we filled it full of mud and then we shoved them in the hole, and so it formed rocks when it dried, and so it makes him really heavy to lift up and carry away. He probably weighs about 50 pounds.
But now that it's happened a second time, they've decided they don't want to chance something so sacred to their family being stolen. Arlette says her mother passed the Santa on down after she died from cancer.
And if they take the Santa Claus, that'll break my heart because my mother's not around anymore. And she only got to meet my son out of my 4 boys.
Arlette's son Clayton drove in from Midwest City to help take down the decorations.
What's going to stop them now this time? Nothing, obviously. It stopped them the first 2 times they did it. What's going to stop them now?
He says not even the Christmas spirit would stop them.
Somebody wants to take somebody else's stuff and ruin their Christmas.
It means more to me than anything.
Arlette says she's still debating on whether she's going to put up any decorations next year. She says if the thief would return the Noel candles, she would lean more towards decorating next year. Reporting live from East Lawton, Garrett Cryer, 7 News.